Happy Monday, dudes. Welcome back to The Bants. As always, I'm your host, The Bants, and it's the beginning of the week, so it's time for another What's Happening in Fashion this week, so let's just get started. And as always, we got a couple art stories to start off the week. First up, London's Garbstore is holding a charity auction for Safe Passage, the children's charity, and they brought in a bunch of different fashion designers, such as the designers behind Nanamika and Nepenthes and Needles and a whole slew of other guys. And they're auctioning off just these kind of painted and sculpted gloves. Personally, I think it's really cool, and I think you should definitely check out the pictures. There's some pretty cool designs in there. Then Juxtapoz sat down and interviewed George Rocha, who's really well known for doing pieces and sculptures out of skateboarding product, kind of like Hiroshi does, but not as intricate. But anyway, if you're interested in him or want to see a couple more of his pieces, definitely check out this interview. Then ThinkSpace Gallery in LA just announced that they're doing their newest exhibition with artist Dalek. If you're not familiar with his work, definitely check out some of his older pieces. They're super bright, colorful, and just a hell of a lot of fun. But if you happen to be in LA, that started yesterday, I believe, and goes to the end of the month, so definitely go check that out. And lastly, Juxtapoz just put up a preview for their Clubhouse, which is going to be their art festival happening later this week down in Miami. Plus, they put up a video of a retrospective of last year. So if you're interested in that, definitely check it out. And if you happen to be in the area, definitely worth stopping by. Then moving on into fashion for the week, Unused just put out their Spring/Summer 2018 lookbook, and I have to say, I really dig it. There's a real nice use of color here, as well as a couple nice little patterns as well. The designs themselves seem very intricate, although there are a couple that are a little too crazy for me, and as always, I'm not a huge fan of super slouchy things. But even so, if you are a fan of contemporary and are looking to kind of brighten up your wardrobe a little bit, or just maybe something a little bit more interesting, definitely check out this lookbook. Then Nike Labs ACG line released their Holiday 2017 lookbook, and honestly, I don't really know what to think about it. Some of the colors they used here, and a lot of the patterns as well, are kind of off-putting in my opinion. They don't really fit the overall motif that is a lot of techwear. And even aside from that too, a lot of these pieces don't seem necessarily functional. They seem more kind of fashion inspired, which is totally against the idea of what techwear is supposed to be. It's supposed to be functional. So even if you are a big techwear fan, I mean, you can take a look over this lookbook, but for everybody else, including you, I definitely pass on it. It's just not that good. Stay Cool NYC also released a Fall/Winter 2017 lookbook, and unfortunately, I kind of like it. With one look at this, you can tell immediately that it's obviously 90s inspired, and in this case, it's not a bad thing. The colors pop really nicely, the graphics are really nice as well, and I do have to give a lot of kudos to the brand for using, instead of silkscreen, embroidery for their graphics, which is something you don't really see nowadays that often, but it looks really nice when it's done well, and it's done well here. However, even though it obviously just entirely inspires to be 90s wear, it feels like something that if you wore it in the 90s, you'd kind of get laughed at. Like, I can't help but look at some of the graphics here and kind of get reminded of some of the kind of tacky tourist wear that you'd see, out in the wilderness somewhere, where you'd get like a logo of like a camping site or something like that embroidered on a sweatshirt. So that's how I feel about it. But if you are a fan of streetwear or a little bit more kind of 90s nostalgia stuff, or maybe some color in general, you might find something in here that you like. But personally, it's not for me unless you're intending to wear it just ironically. Reigning Champ also released a small little capsule collection for their 10-year anniversary, and it's Reigning Champ, so obviously it looks pretty good. When it comes to designs, there's not really a lot here. It's all mainly just black and white clothing, which isn't a problem because Reigning Champ is known for basics, and as always, it's as clean and well designed as you'd expect from Reigning Champ. The only real reason I'm including it here is because I just want to give a shout out to the brand. Congrats, Reigning Champ, on 10 years. You've done a fantastic job so far, and I can only hope for at least another 10 years more. So, congratulations, and as always, just keep it up. Planet Hamming also released a Fall/Winter 2017 lookbook, and if nothing else, it's interesting to say the least. I don't think there's a really easy way to describe this lookbook, but I'm gonna try. It kind of feels like a mashup of like Lunar Core meets Vetements meets Junjay, in the sense that it has like these really kind of trippy, surrealist Junjay graphics, and it does have some kind of tech lunar core styles and silhouettes to it, and then it kind of has the bagginess and oversizedness of like what Vetements would be. But I guess if any of those things kind of catch your attention, then give this lookbook a look. Otherwise, it might be a little too crazy for some. Then Neon Signs put out a lookbook for Spring/Summer 2018, and I absolutely love it. But holy fuck does it hurt my eyes. It's just, Like, I really like the way they put the pieces into the lookbook and how it's modeled here, but using that Adobe background on it, holy fuck, I can't see shit. It's giving me a headache. But moving on to the important part of this lookbook, the clothes, I think they did a really fantastic job with it. I think the colors they used really complement each other well. I think there's enough interesting designs in here to keep it fun and exciting. Overall, if you're a fan of contemporary wear, definitely check this out. There's definitely some more abstract pieces worth looking into if you're looking for that in your collection. Then Wasted Paris put out a Fall/Winter 2017 lookbook, and holy fuck is it bad. This collection looks like it was inspired by everything that's been popular for the last maybe 2 to 5 years. And so if you have no concept of fashion and we're coming into fashion and then just, throwing up those copied designs, but then doing it and executing it just absolutely poorly. Because it looks like it wants to be 3 to 4 year old fashion, and even if it was made then, it'd still be fucking terrible. Don't even waste your time on this lookbook. Then Supreme and North Face also dropped another collaboration for Winter 2017, and it looks like shit, so that's all I gotta say about it. Billionaire Boys Club also released a lookbook for their Beeline collection, and even though it's just starting, I have to say, it's pretty good so far. Now obviously I've been ragging on BBC and Pharrell for a while now, just because I feel like the designs they've been putting out have been pretty shit. Although this doesn't seem to be so much of the case here, but then again, Pharrell doesn't have, any say in it, so that might be why. But even so, I kind of feel like this would be equivalent to how the Hundreds is trying to do with their clothes, in the sense that they're trying to appeal more to a older, more mature audience that's still interested in streetwear. And I think they did a good job here with a lot of the designs, but I still think it's kind of too early to tell exactly if this is going to be consistent or not. At the very least, good job so far, and I look forward to seeing what's next. Stussy and 40% Against the Rights also released a small little capsule collection together, and honestly, I don't think it's that bad. This collection does, though, seem to be a lot more Stussy inspired than it does FPAR inspired, but even so, I think it's pretty good overall, even though it's not really breaking any molds. But the graphics are nice, the colors are nice, and one of the nice things about collaborating with a cheaper brand such as Stussy here is that it really drives down the price point of the more expensive brands. So if you are a fan of FPAR or just Stussy in general, or even just streetwear, definitely check it out. You might like a couple pieces here. Then 10 Deep also released their holiday lookbook for 2017, and once again, it's pretty good overall. Although, as is common with 10 Deep, this collection is a little bit all over the place. There's some really nice pieces here, and then there's some really boring pieces. Some of their patchwork is really amazing, and some of it is just not doing it for me. But even so, I think if you are a fan of streetwear, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 items you find in here that you'll genuinely enjoy. So if you are a fan of streetwear, definitely check this out. And lastly, Givenchy released their Spring/Summer 2018 lookbook, and it's pretty bad. And I know I said I liked how a lot of people were doing parkas recently, but I don't want a fucking Givenchy parka. Stop it. Stop it, Givenchy. No. And the kind of sad thing about it is that's really the only good piece in this entire collection. I think the use of color here is really terrible. It's really off-putting, and it doesn't mesh with a lot of the other colors they're using. The stars should have been gone, fucking 5 years ago, and yet they're back and they're still here. Overall, the only reason I'd see why you'd want to buy this is if you either like the brand or just like overspending on clothing. So, that's all I gotta say about it. Alright, and with that, it's time to move on to our articles for the week. First up, Grail put out a really nice article on the history of Wtaps, so if you're a fan of that brand or just want to know more about Wtaps, definitely give that a read. Then The Atlantic put out a nice little interview and overview of Alta Gracia, which is a nice little factory down in the Dominican Republic, where they're paying their associates and their workers a living wage and kind of proving the fact that, anybody can do this. So if you're interested in kind of ethical wear and just the business behind the ethics of fashion and anything along those lines, this is definitely worth a read. Then Vice put out a final interview with Azzedine Alaia, the late great fashion designer who just recently passed away. If you're interested in him, or even if you're just interested in fashion design in general, definitely worth a read. There's some pretty interesting quotes in here. Then Hypebeast actually put out a decent article on the idea of if sneaker hype has gone too far. And it actually gives a decent overview and interview with some people that are behind some of the more well-known sneakers that are coming out nowadays. And personally, if you're a fan of the sneaker game, or just kind of how reselling has kind of killed a lot of things in general, it's definitely worth a read. Then Heddles put out a very nice little overview of what the difference is between a quartz movement watch and a mechanical movement watch. So if you want to know more about watches, definitely worth a read. And lastly, Wired put out a nice little article where they go into the Adidas factory and kind of show some of the techniques and what goes into the manufacturing of some of their more high-tech shoes. So if you are interested in just athletic wear, tech wear, or maybe just Adidas in general, definitely worth checking out. Alright guys, and with that, we are done with our Whif for today. That is Monday. And as I said before last week, there's actually going to be 3 Whifs this week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. There's just been too many articles recently, and I don't think it would hurt to have one more video a week. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, want to chat fashion, or just anything else in general, feel free to just leave me a comment below. And as always, I hope you guys have a good couple of days until the next Whif, and until next time.